Schools aren't the only ones struggling with budget cuts. The Department of Public Safety says millions of dollars are needed to continue providing needed services. If the legislature can't come up with that money, the agency says public safety could be at risk with fewer troopers patrolling Oklahoma highways.
The Oklahoma Highway Patrol in recent years has faced a critical shortage of state troopers. Public safety officials attributed much of that shortage to the agency's low salaries. That's why Representative Scott Martin pushed for legislation 2 years ago to give troopers a pay hike.
When you compared our trooper salaries to those in similar positions in police forces across the state, and also state troopers in other states, we were lagging behind, and we didn't want that to be the case.
Now, budget cuts are not only jeopardizing those salary increases, but also threaten to reduce the number of troopers available to cover the state's 77 counties. Earlier this year, the Department of Public Safety notified employees about the agency's budget challenges and steps being taken to deal with them. Commissioner Michael Thompson says those steps include a hiring freeze and voluntary buyouts for DPS employees.
We just finalized that, and I think we've cut about 50 employees at DPS that are going to take advantage of the voluntary buyout because if we keep going down this road, we're going to be in a really tough bind. So we have folks that retired versus staying working for the people of Oklahoma.
Budget constraints also forced the department to cancel the 65th Patrol Academy, which had been scheduled for next year.
Which is going to be tough. I think we're down around close to 800 troopers right now. That includes me, for a population of, 4 million people in Oklahoma.
But Thompson says they've squeezed out all the savings they can and now have to consider furloughs for all personnel.
That's everyone from Mike Thompson to the newest person that we've hired at the Department of Public Safety. And it's 23 days.
That could also affect driver's license testing and hearings involving suspended licenses, in addition to taking troopers off the highways. Thompson has requested a $12 million supplemental appropriation and says lawmakers he's spoken with have been sympathetic to his request. But Senate Appropriations Vice Chair Greg Treat says legislators will need to do their due diligence before committing to anything.
I trust the commissioner, I trust DPS, but I want to look at our numbers and make sure that taxpayers are getting the biggest bang for their buck and that we're not just giving an amount because it goes above and beyond and filling that hole, because we have many other agencies and state government that are also needing more money to get through with the recent budget cuts.
Treat believes more transparency is needed in the department's budgeting process.
It's very hard for a legislator to get in and see where some money goes because they encumber money, which is at the very first of the fiscal year they encumber it so that it can't be used for anything else. So if they encumber 100% of their fuel cost in July 1, that means they lack flexibility the rest of the fiscal year to shift those monies to higher priorities or things that need those monies.
Thompson counters that the cost to the agency for payroll and benefits alone is $126 million, money that's spent before they buy even 1 gallon of gasoline. And while the DPS relied on revolving funds to help fill the gap last fiscal year, those funds are no longer available.
It's not as if there's a big pile of money sitting somewhere waiting for us to pull it out and use it to get us out of this bind. So it's very challenging right now, and it's very frustrating.
Oklahoma Public Employees Association Executive Director Sterling Zerle released a statement about the budget problems, saying the blame lies squarely on legislators and the governor, who passed a budget that does not fund core services. To add insult, Governor Fallin has more than $140 million available to her to return to the agencies, and she won't do it. Some of those dollars would go to DPS and could help reduce the number of furlough days. Governor Mary Fallin has been meeting with legislators to discuss the possibility of a special session to decide how to use money that was cut too deeply from agency budgets last fiscal year. That suggestion has met with a less than enthusiastic response from lawmakers.
In general, it costs more money to have us in special session. That's money that we don't have.
If we try to open up things like cigarette tax and open up things like sales tax on services, those are conversations we can have, but those are not conversations that we can come in and get done and dispose of in 5 days. So I don't think the appetite's real high right now for a special session. I don't think most people want to go into special session.
Without a special session, the $140.8 million would be given back to agencies in the same proportion they were cut. State finance officials say that would amount to $1.9 million for the Department of Public Safety.